We're
Hello. We are back at it this week. Hello, everyone. This is Malika Shea and Jamila Moore. I am again Malika Shea, the marketing strategist. I help businesses build their brands, their business, and their bank accounts through marketing and sales strategy.
Come on here, Malika. Well, I am your business's insurance. I am your business's safeguard, and I am the person that's going to make sure that your business has money in the long run through legal protection, right? Trademarks, contracts, copyrights, and y'all don't even know about this one. Compliance is so important. But we're excited today to kind of talk to you about the keys to building wealth through your business. Malika, what's your first key?
Yes. So today we actually have a little special thing we're going to be doing. We are actually going to be talking about some case studies that we wanted to share with you guys as real examples of what happens to businesses and people who own those businesses when they do not protect what they own and what they have, but also violate, maybe even knowing or not knowing, violate some of the rules and regulations that are set in place to protect not just you as a business owner, but the public and the people that you serve. So, Jamila, I'm gonna let you go first and talk about this case because that will lead into my case studies that I have. This is some exciting stuff, guys. I'm so excited that I'm like stuttering over here. But yeah. So go ahead, Jam. I'm gonna give the mic to you.
All right. So the one thing that I want to talk, or the one business that I want to talk about, is the business that I just was like, because it really hurts my feelings when I see minority business owners actually lose out on all the potential of money that they could have. Now, it is reported that the Black Ink Crew brand made Viacom over $1 billion over the span of 10 years. So if we
That's
break that
generational
down,
wealth right there in itself. That's
right,
generational wealth right there.
and if we break it down, what that means is that brand was earning $100 million per year. They only filmed for 6 months. So they were making $100 million off of 6 months worth of recordings.
Wow.
But did Caesar, who was the brainchild behind it, get even a tenth of that money? No. Why did Caesar not get any of that money? It was because Caesar did not have the right language in his contract. He did not own the trademark for Black Ink. And sometimes for us as newer business owners, or we've been in business for a while, we're just in survival mode and we don't think about what could really happen. Because let
Right.
me break this part down. Here is where things kind of got a little messy. So Viacom filed for a trademark for Black Ink Crew on October 8th, 2012. Now, they started filming in January 2013. Black Ink had been in operation prior to that. So that means that Caesar had the opportunity, or someone around him had the opportunity to make sure that he owned the trademark. But this is where it gets worse. This is what I tell y'all had to get
Mm.
y'all trademarks in place from the beginning. He goes in 2015 and tries to file a trademark. And he's like, well, I'm going to file it in different classes. I'm not going to go in class 41 where Viacom filed. I'm going to go in class 25 because I'm going to make some Black Ink t-shirts, right? Or sweatshirts, whatever it is. I'm going to have Black Ink apparel. Then
Hmm.
he tried to file it as a tattoo artist. But you know what stopped him? Viacom's filing in 2012. And so he had no parts of this ownership. And it was
So
his.
what happened to the 2012 filing that he did? That
He
just
didn't do that. Viacom filed it.
oh, that was okay.
Yeah, so because he didn't know any better, and the thing is, if he had the right attorneys, because Caesar did say that he had an attorney, walk with him through actually signing his contract. We're going to get to that later. I'm just going to talk about the trademark for right now, and then I'm gonna let you go in, and I'm gonna come back to that contract because we don't even get there yet. But if he had known even just the trademark process and started to watch it, he could have opposed it when it was published for opposition and claimed rights to it right then and there. And so sometimes we say ignorance is bliss. No,
Right.
fool. I'm sorry. I had to. No, it's foolish.
It is
Ignorance
foolish.
is foolish, right? And I'm a believer, so I'm gonna tell you, what is it? Ignorance leads to a lack of knowledge leads to perishing. It leads to death.
Yeah.
So many of us have death in our business. Jesus. Because of our legal ignorance. Like, imagine if I think he's reportedly worth maybe about 1 point something million. Maybe let's just give him 3 million. But your idea made over $1 billion. And you get no parts of that. And they actually fired him and ripped up his contract.
That's crazy. That is crazy. And I wonder if he realizes how big that was. Like, you know what I'm saying? That small little mistake that he did, or maybe he didn't even realize it. I don't know. But I'm just wondering, if he did realize it and realized how much money he lost. And it's not just about the money, because it's way bigger than that. It's about opportunity, because now it's like you've built up something only for it to be taken away from you. And now what do you do? I mean,
Caesar said that he's taking all of the things that he learned as an executive producer, and he's, creating new shows. But we're going to get into the contract later. That show is still being aired on networks, and he's not making money off of it because he didn't have the right attorney negotiating at the table for him.
And that's just the thing, right? Like, how do you, and maybe this will be another live we'll do, right? How do you know what questions to ask an attorney? Because for me, I'm not an attorney, but if I call an attorney, a business attorney who specializes in a specific area that I'm looking for, I'll ask some regular generic questions, and I would assume, based on their answer, they know, they went to school, they've been doing this for X amount of years. They got, they have the proof to prove that they've been working. And so how do we protect ourselves, from hiring an attorney who, at the end of the day,
I'm gonna give you this short answer, because one of the things that I recognize is it's about, you could ask the right questions and the attorney could tell you so many different things, but you may not have understanding of the contract. And so if he walked away without understanding the contract, that was the problem. If he walked away not understanding what he should be thinking about in the future, therein lied the problem.
Right.
But what's happening in the marketing world? Like, what do we need to think about from a marketing perspective?
So when we talk about, protection and just not doing the right things with the business, I wanted to talk about CAN-SPAM, right? So we all know, we've heard of spam mail, but some people don't really know where that name came from. And it came from the CAN-SPAM Act that is enforced by the FTC. Okay. So just to give you guys just a quick blurb about it, basically CAN-SPAM is the law that regulates sending of commercial emails and text messages, including what you can send, to whom you can send it to, how the recipient tells you to stop sending it. That's pretty much what they regulate. And as a marketer or a company who is marketing to their potential people, leads, or the existing customers or new customers, you want to be aware that you're actually following the rules of the regulations. Why? Because you don't want to take that loss of revenue, because you're going to be fined, loss of your reputation, possible, relationships that you may have had with those current, those people that you're sending the emails to, and that sort of thing. So specifically, I'm going to reference 3 companies. 2 of them are 2 very, very small marketing companies. And what the case study was with these 2 companies is that they actually failed to offer a opt-out option. So this is a huge thing. And I think a lot of companies are getting a little bit better with it, but there are some, because I've gotten some emails where there was no opt-out option, or the opt-out option was hidden. It was almost impossible to find it. That is a violation in itself. So you want to make it a very easy way to for the email recipient to opt out. But going back to it, what happened was they didn't offer an opt-out option, and they also did not have a physical postal address. You cannot have a PO box on the emails that you're sending out. Okay. So as a consequence for that, what happened is what the FTC does is they'll give you time to rectify the issue. And I guess just depending on what the situation is, for these particular companies, they gave them 10 days to rectify the issue. Well, guess what? They didn't do it. They didn't do it. So it's like mama telling you, you better go in there and make up your bed, and you don't do it. So you know what's going to happen, right? Now you got to pay
the penalties.
Right. Now you got to pay the bigger price. And so that's exactly what happened. And so these small companies ultimately wind up having to be fined or having to pay over $32,000 in penalties for that.
Not only
for lack of putting the correct not putting an opt-in, and not putting a physical postal address on the email. Yes.
Okay. Because remember I said like trademarks, contracts, copyrights, this is compliance.
Yep. At all. Yes. It's all compliance. So it's serious. Like, it is really, really, really serious. And so that's Malika, how
we have a question in the chat.
Oh.
And so someone is asking, so what do I do to kind of learn what marketing rules I have to follow?
That's a loaded question. So my advice to you will be to get in contact with me, because the marketing is the big umbrella, right? And so there's different things that you would have to follow based on what type of marketing that you're doing. So I would just say, get in contact with me. You can, if you're on was this through Instagram? If you're on Instagram, you can. All right. If you're on Instagram, you can send me a direct message at Malika, MALIKA.Shay on Instagram. Or you can send me an email at malika@malikashay.com. And I will definitely.
And your information is on the screen, so they know how to get in contact with you.
There you go. But that's a really, really great question. It's a loaded question. It's not just we'll be here for a couple of hours going over that information, but definitely a great question. But yeah, so that's just an example of those 2 small companies. Now, when we talk about the bigger companies, if a small company is making these mistakes, or if a large company is making these mistakes, then it's likely that a smaller company who don't have as many resources in place to make the same mistake. And so this is where we saw, with the it's a publicly traded company called ice.com. I'm gonna put them on blast. But they also got fined. So girl, let me tell y'all what these knuckleheads did. They
No,
sent
don't call me.
out they sent out 6,000 emails to people who had already requested to opt out.
Hold on, Malika, because I've been a victim of people like this company. And I literally had to email the woman and tell her, like, look, I'm an attorney. This is illegal for you to continue emailing me
Mhm.
after I have opted out 5 times. And I think the thing too is they don't know that there are people out there watching you to see when you make these mistakes just so that they could either report it or find a way to sue you. So it's something you really got to be careful about.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And people, the question I've gotten before was how do I report it if I'm on the receiving end of these spam emails that I don't want to get? Well, there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can contact the FTC directly and make a report. You can contact your ISP, your internet service provider, because they actually have to monitor this stuff. When you click on, spam folder or report spam, there's a system that's going on in the background that actually tracks this and keeps a whole log. And I don't want to bore y'all with all the marketing stuff, but they actually keep a log of how many times this particular email address have received spam from from this sender. And yeah, so it's a whole system going on in the background. But yeah, so it's crazy. So with them, they sent out the 6,000 emails. Their penalty was over $6,000. On top of it, they had to comply and make sure that they put a system in place, a record keeping system in place, and it had to be monitored by the FTC. They can come in and periodically check it or whatever, just to make sure that they're in compliance. So listen, you got to do it anyway. You might as well do it on the front end, and where it doesn't cost you anything. So what you got to say, attorney?
It's interesting that you are in a place where you're so concerned about, trying to make money, but you haven't made the right investments to actually make sure that you're not putting yourself in a position to lose a lot of the money that you made.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't know anyone, I don't care how much money you make, you want to look up and one day have a $6,000 bill. Right? Like you're going to be upset that there's a $6,000 bill. And then you have to figure out a way to pay it because, most businesses don't have the cash flow to have that laying around. And I'm looking here and there's another question in the chat. It asks, what areas of compliance should you be looking into? Like Malika said, it's a loaded question, right? Because at any given point, there are 10 laws that you are supposed to be knowledgeable about as a business owner. I literally just did a training a week ago around the Corporate Transparency Act and how to file and all of those different things. Many people are scared about this $500 a day penalty, but what have you done to make sure that you actually have the knowledge for that, to comply with that law? And so whether it's marketing law, whether it's trademark law, whether it's copyright law, whether it's corporations law, whether it's what's another law? Oh, the private.
Privacy, your privacy law, I mean, it's a lot. So it's a loaded question for sure. But there's a lot of different things that, they all work, hand in hand with each other. But it's kind of like a checklist, you know what I'm saying? Just for each area that you want to make sure that you're in compliance with.
Yeah, it's just that simple. And it's unfortunate that many programs or many business owners, they just get, in the hustle and bustle. And we saw that with Caesar earlier. Like, he was in the hustle and bustle. He was just excited that, he was about to be working with, X, Y, and Z and getting X, Y, and Z and literally forfeiting his future by chasing money now. And I think that was the thing, that if he had the right contract attorney, that attorney would have made sure that Caesar had a different outcome, right? Especially when it comes into like, well, what is he able to do in terms of like, even what is Viacom's outside of any filming time? Because people don't know this. If you don't read the contract and negotiate it well, there will be issues where anything that you do that stems from that's arguably stemmed from the work that you're contracting with them to do, they own it. They get paid off of other work that you're doing, right? And so it's just like, well, what do you do there? And then too, when you think about the future of it, did he even know to ask for royalties? Or I'm going to take 100,000 now, and you're going to give me 10% of everything that you all make. Hell, 2% of 1 billion, 0.5% of 1 billion, something that's more. And so it's your job to actually make sure you understand the contract that's been given to you, and that you're thinking about other ways you can make money. Right? Like, don't just think about this one transaction. You want to think about how this one transaction is going to be able to position you to make more money from this one transaction, to leverage this one transaction, right, to build an empire from this one transaction. And right, I literally was in a negotiation earlier with a pastor in a church, and the church wants to own all of her intellectual property rights. Not in this day and time. And somebody is like, well, what are intellectual property rights?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Every time you create, you are creating intellectual property that can be owned. I'm going to say that again. Every time you create, you are creating intellectual property that can be owned. Literally, your mind has the ability to make you millions. And we see with Caesars, your mind has the ability to make you billions. And so if you don't start to learn that when I am in a creative space, I need to contact a reputable, a trustworthy attorney to make sure that I am taking stake in my intellectual property. I like to think of it as monopoly a little bit. Like, oh, I own all the houses. Every time I create, I'm building a new house. And we see this with the larger brands. That's how they're able to get licensing deals. That's how they're able to get royalties. Why? Because they created their intellectual property, and now they have ownership rights and assets that they can sell, they can sue, they could stop, and they can license.
Yep. Let's go. I mean, that's real. And we got to be very, very mindful and careful about the little things that we do in our business. Something simple as creating a t-shirt that says, I am boss, or I am whatever that is, and you're wearing it, and you're wearing, that's your brand. People on social media know that when they see this, I am whatever, or boss babe, or whatever it is, you know what I mean? And they know that that's you, but you have not trademarked that. You have not protected that at all. And so if anybody wanted to, first of all, if you might be in violation of somebody else's, if you haven't even researched it. So you could be using somebody else's trademark brand and then potentially opening up yourself to be sued for that. But again, as attorney said, you want to be able to protect your intellectual property. So just be mindful when you're doing those things, like I said, creating t-shirts and hats and branding yourself as whatever this X, Y, and Z thing is, before you're putting it out there. Just really, really protect yourself. Hire an attorney. When it comes to your marketing stuff, there's a lot of marketing rules, laws, and things like that. Just like I said, depending on what the marketing type is, where we have to follow. We have to follow. And that's where I come in place. Contact me, and we will definitely have a conversation about it. And I can guide you through this crazy world of legal stuff when it comes to marketing.
Listen, Malika, I hope the audience is taking away that the keys to building wealth through their business is one, making sure you have the right information.
Yes.
Two, making sure you're not in violation of any law. And three, making sure that you are connecting with the experts who can make this process simplified and easy for you. It is
Yep.
not, we're no longer at a place to say we can't afford X, Y, and Z
That's not
because
an
you can't
option.
afford, you can't afford to make these mistakes.
No, absolutely. And because, social media is what it is now, years ago we didn't have access like this. And because it's the World Wide Web, right? You know what I'm saying? We have all of this information, all of this access to all of this stuff now. Everyone has access to it. So you're more susceptible to having somebody steal your stuff or having someone take your idea or being in violation and just not even knowing it. So yeah, I would just say, yeah, definitely reach out to a professional who can help guide you and navigate you through all of the noise, right? The busy streets of business law, the busy streets of marketing. um and we got y'all. We got you.
What was that from Easter Ray? Somebody probably should have trademarked that. We got y'all
We
from
got
Insecure.
y'all.
Oh man. Any last words, Malika?
um all I can say, guys, is just again, I mean, I can't stress this enough. There is, and Jamila said it's something about we can't talk about what we can't afford to do. We can't afford not to take action and not to do this. So if we're out here spending money on frivolous things, we want to reevaluate our priorities, and think of and change our mindset and utilize that to again protect and grow your business. You know what I mean? So that way you got to look at the bigger picture. Let's just say that. Look at the bigger picture and know that once you do this, it's golden. Like it's really, really golden. Um it's like
Yeah.
insurance, right? I mean, it's like car who drives around with no insurance, not looking over their shoulder.
Listen, and to your point, you have to like get this together and you want to make sure that you are making these investments. And I say that they are investments because like if you go out there, you buy a Chanel bag, you go out there, you buy a car, what's the resale value on it? Like the things that we're talking to you about actually can make you a lot more money in the future. Like trademarks. Who knew? And I went into a great level of detail, right? I was like really in the nitty-gritty. When Caesar tried to finally file his trademark himself, because he wasn't using, he was the person on record. When he finally tried to file it himself, the reason why he couldn't file it was because not only did Viacom own it, it was like you actually work for Viacom. You're an employee of the thing that they trademarked now. It was like you were trying to steal a trademark, but this is your baby. So
Oh, wow.
make sure you are protecting your creativity. Your creativity from your mind is what? Intellectual property. And so I know y'all gonna be sitting here stewing. You can send us messages on IG. You can visit my website at eliteambitionlaw.com. You can visit Malika's website at malikashay.solutions, or visit her on IG at Malika Shay. Why? Because if it was up to us, we wouldn't even be here. God sanctioned us to here to make sure that you stop making these mistakes and that you are in a place where you can actually build wealth through your business and not build bills. Mm.
That's real. That's real. Jam. Yeah. Wow. Building wealth, not bills. Okay.
Bye, y'all. Ooh, we got to
Okay.
go.
We got to go. Bye for now.